Okay. Go. Like your what's his finger gender?
Z, you want to start? Well, let me ask you.
Yeah, ask me
What about this game feels familiar versus what things feel different when it comes to like grunt perspective?
I think what's crazy is this feels like making a World War II game sometimes.
This is our opportunity for Big War, to bring it back and do it the modern warfare way. And to us, that means a large-scale battle, reclaiming a city.
All of it's visceral, all of it's gritty, it's all grounded and ripped from the headlines, but we get to experience it in a variety of different ways.
We need to go back to the call of duty. That's what the call of duty came about. It was your duty to serve your country, your duty to fight in the war for your country. So this time around, we were like, all right, we're gonna be in Korea. It's North versus South. What better place to go back to the roots of what Call of Duty is than that conflict?
We dug into pretty hard the history of, North and South Korea, the reason that there's a, divide in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And now we're getting to go back to that actual huge forces in direct conflict, two actual modern militaries.
Like, what is Big War?
What is Big War?
What is
right?
Big?
Yeah.
And you ask a person, everybody has a different identity of what Big War is.
You can imagine the powder keg that's underneath, this place inherently. It's built in, unfortunately, but we got to explore that.
When I was growing up, that was still very real, and so our campaign levels definitely adds that threat looming feeling to actually happening. So this story kind of is like, what if?
The city of Hajin is a really important aspect of the story overall. When conflict breaks out on the Korean Peninsula, this is where the conflict happens. North Korea invades this place first and takes this place.
South Korea and North Korea was kind of part of the main story point of the single player mission. So our aim is to make sure that we relive the experience for the players and be able to portray that and then show the aftermath of the story that would happen in the single player.
It's a place where our main characters, a lot of them live. It's what they call their home. And we were really inspired to make sure that this place was as accurate as possible, make sure the people that were inhabiting it were as grounded and realistic as possible.
I was able to dug up some of the old photos and references that I've actually lived in. These are some of the areas where you would find in the entertainment districts or some of the apartment sprawl districts. We went from the initial concept stages and pre-productions and then looking at the global art direction for the goal of the game.
저 집들을 싹 비워라! 모두 밖으로 내보내. 알겠나?
The narrative team and Grigsby, they have dialogue coaches and they have their lines, and we got to review every single line to feel like if this person is from the southern region of South Korea, then they need to have a specific dialect. We needed to make sure those elements are there. It makes us get immersed into it because their lines are so good and their emotions through the acting is so good that we were we bought it right away.
뭐야?
잠깐만.
진짜.
야, 이거 누구야? 주파.
우탱.
형, 나도 들어보자. 기회 들어가는 거다. 입안이고.
Hey,
fellas, I don't got my subtitles on. Speak my language, please.
If we can look at this, I actually wanted to see how many people we have in here, in the block out.
2, 3, 4, 8, 9.
So 8 total? Yeah, I think we'll probably need to do more 12, because this has to be a battle. This has to be my guys might go
flank
fuck.
over on the side.
And then, yeah, exactly. This is a little more complicated than some of the other ones, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
One of the things that makes Modern Warfare 4 unique is it has multiple story threads we get to experience different threads of the story through different characters and how they resolve the conflict that they come across. In South Korea, conscription is mandatory, which means all young people have to go into military service. We wanted to use that as a starting point for our character Park. He starts as a grunt who would rather be doing something else, and when war breaks out, he's forced to make a decision about how he's going to respond to that.
Just starting from that of like the value of choice or not having choice, and for Park, it's I think the line we used was like, or they didn't give me the option to sign up. They just told me when to show up.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But he decides how he leaves. As the story starts to unfold, it goes from I'm just hazing a new guy and doing my daily stuff to, okay, now I have to figure out how I'm going to help keep myself and my guys alive. And we get to see that kind of play out through all these different, harrowing situations. Like your city's being bombarded. You're, just running from space to space as North Koreans are, falling and literally dropping in from the sky. And so it's just like you've never fired your gun at another person before. What does that feel like? What are you going to do mentally, to prepare yourself for no, it's time to it's time to initiate combat, right? Like that's a tough decision to make. And so I think that was an interesting place to go with someone who didn't ask for this, who didn't sign up, for a war, but is faced with fighting through one.
Modern Warfare 4 brings us into new emotional territory because of some of the experiences that the characters have been through, some of the choices that they made that they can't come back from. We get to build on a foundation that makes this new chapter something we've been building towards for a long time, and a story that we're really passionate about telling.
Something like this. I think we'll turn this more into just like a full-on, as though it were a work table,
workbench.
all the way, workbench across.
Yeah, when we first met Price in 2019, he taught us that a soldier draws the line wherever they need it. We get dirty and the world stays clean, right? And I think people found that enticing at the time. That was a different way to look at what the good guy is, or what the good guy has to do to make the bad guy scared of the dark. But here we are in Modern Warfare 4, and what is the evolution of that, right? Where do you take that to the end of the line, right? Now with Price, this is an operator that essentially, after the events of the last game, has turned into an outlaw, right? He doesn't have the same, security apparatus that he had. He doesn't have the same tools necessarily of his trade. But he's the type of man that's going to find the best tool for the job no matter what he has to do. And we're going to see really kind of how far he's willing to go in this game, what lines he's willing to cross.
We are just as excited to see where these characters get to go as we are for people to experience it. If Valeria starts back here and goes up to there, I guess, right? Something like that. So they get out of the helicopter. Yeah. They open the door. She's like talking to him like, yeah, you better not miss it. And then they all get out and come up, and then we land here.
Modern Warfare is synonymous to Infinity War, and we make it what it is for millions of people across the world. So for me, everything that we do and everything that we put in our game has to feel authentic.
Who the characters are, the conflict they're thrown into, and the ways that they resolve that conflict is integral to what Modern Warfare is.
And putting the player right in the middle of it.
Putting the player right in the middle of the action.